Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Wind. I've just flown in. And today we are back from the Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wars. Last time, we tried getting me home, failed miserably, and then the boys and their significant others came to get me. Yay! But, I'm kinda cursed, and I'm kinda trapped here, and I'm super not happy about that. So, we're gonna plunge right back in. Let's go check out our new temporary room, shall we? We finally arrived in our room, and were left alone for the night. I sat down on the bed, feeling the exhaustion of the day take over, as James examined the room carefully. Well, I mean, it is James. He dawns on me as he'd want the 5 stars. He walked around the room, observing each bit of decor with curious care.
So this is Lilith Castle.
You've never been? I mean, you were kind of engaged to Diana at one point. I raised an eyebrow. This place had a name? Yeah, you're thinking. Lilith Castle? James nodded, walking over the tapestry on the wall, and examining it as he explained.
This castle was the home of the first succubus,
Huh.
Lilith.
Cool.
Demons of Lilith, like myself and my brothers, come from one of thousands of branches of her bloodline.
Cool.
We're not pure-blooded incubi. Diana, however, is a pure-blooded succubus.
Cool.
Directly descended from Lilith herself.
Well, that does explain her power creep over you guys. My dream flashed before my eyes, reminding me of Diana's words towards James. I nodded in understanding as he continued with a small smile.
That's why her family was able to convince the Demon Lord to make her my betrothed. They were extremely powerful and could easily charm others, being of pure Lilith blood.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I could only imagine it, remembering how Diana controlled an entire school like it was easy for her, sent a small shiver down my spine. If she was that powerful, then how powerful was she now after so long? James chuckled a bit, breaking my thoughts.
Of course, you know what happened after that.
When you assume I believe the Bible, which, I don't. James finally walked over and sat beside me, softly wrapping an arm around my waist and bringing me close to him. I nuzzled his shoulder, enjoying the warmth of his body. I remembered clearly what happened. James chose me after all, and I chose him. We loved each other, and defied Diana's attempts to take him away because of it. I couldn't have been more proud of myself at that moment in time. James leaned down a bit and whispered in my ear, making me shiver slightly in his arms. Let's get wings?
Besides, the woman I'm engaged to now is more amazing than any princess in all of the 5 worlds.
Aww. Not let's get wings, but aw, thank you. I blushed at his words, feeling my heart skip a beat. James really did love me. If you're marrying him, I hope you would know that. Kiss him, cuddle. Kissies. Mwah. He was so sweet and caring. I felt blessed being able to be with him, both as his fiancé and physically in the same world. My worries began to slowly break apart and melt in my chest as I looked up at him and leaned in, capturing his lips with my own. James seemed surprised for a moment before he let a soft groan escape his lips and kissed me back. He gently pressed a hand on the back of my head, keeping me close as we kissed each other lovingly. It was almost orgasmic the way his lips moved against mine. Uh-huh. What color are your eyes right now? Open them. Open. As we slowly pulled away from each other, letting our breaths intermingle, in the space between us, James smiled. I became lost in his whiskey brown eyes, wanting so much to forever be entranced by them. Wow, I love drunk.
Come, let's get some sleep. We have a lot to do tomorrow.
I mean, do we? We're kind of on downtime. I nodded, and both of us settled into the bed, drifting to sleep as our heads hit the pillows. I felt at peace knowing that James was by my side. But my peace didn't last. I really wish I had some clue what you were saying. What the? White light? This is usually a sign something bad is happening. I felt the void around me shift and brighten to a blinding white, causing me to shut my eyes. Feathers gently brushed against my skin, and I lurched and squirmed away from them instinctively. What was happening to me? I'm just gonna say cover your ears now. I do not want some creepy ear sex baby, all I'm saying.
Non technique.
D? What's the fuck? Diana's voice echoed through the air, surprising me and causing me to look around. As I turned my head to look behind me, a pair of arms wrapped themselves around me and held me close. What? What indeed?
Don't struggle.
Okay. Zero. What the fuck? Someone translate.
Et hic habet potestatum. Adoro teut non et durum.
You tell him, D? Question mark?
E credere de loco isto.
Good point? Question mark? I became lost to what was happening. Nothing was making sense. But I knew that they were speaking in some form of Latin. The voices that weren't Diana and Serio, however, struck fear into my core with each word they spoke.
Zero, end this.
Yeah, dude, end this. On Diana's command, Serio cast some sort of spell, causing my body and mind to become enveloped in gold light. I felt every nerve in my body heat up almost uncomfortably, making me squirm slightly in Sero's arms. Sero, however, tightened his hold on me and continued casting his spell. At last, the world around me suddenly went dark, and I found myself shooting up at bed, awake. Ah! Ah, indeed.
Love?
Hey, sweetie. I looked to my side to see James, shaken awake by my sudden outburst. His eyes were glossed over from exhaustion, but he continued to watch me with worry. This was the second time I woke him up like this. Damn it.
Why are angels hunting you?
Ah! That's what's happening! Cool! James and I suddenly shot our heads towards the sound of Diana's voice, seeing Hood and Serio by the door. She had her arms crossed and a look of pure irritation on her face as she awaited my answer. Well, you see, I'm the main character, and I'm kind of a magnet for all things magical, apparently. However, I didn't know what to say. Angels were hunting me. I stared at Diana, confused as to what she meant. James sat up at last, matching her expression with irritation of his own. Yeah, James is like, bitch, I am not having this, get out.
What are you talking about?
Sweetie, remember we are in her home.
I wasn't speaking to you, James.
Yeah, dude. Shush. My eyes widened at the slip. Did she almost say James's real name? Diana growled and clicked her teeth before looking to me again, glaring harder.
Your dream almost allowed them to erase your memories.
Okay. Interesting. My body chilled at the thought. What the hell? I was confused and fearful of what was going on. What was happening? Why were angels after me? Yeah, all valid questions. James wrapped his arms around me, seeing me visibly shaken at Diana's words.
Explain, Diana.
I think she needs me to explain first.
Ask your fiancée why she's targeted by them. Don't ask me. I want to know as well.
Exactly. Don't say anything. I don't know. Shrug. I truly didn't know. What could I say? This was the first I had heard of angels hunting me. The dream was not a dream I had ever experienced before.
Angels don't target just anyone. They have to have a reason for hunting people down to erase their memories.
I'm special. Yay.
Especially when their target is in the demon world.
What more can I say, main character? The plot's gonna follow me. I held my head and shook it, trying to figure it out. Did I do something wrong? Well, good point. What did I do to incur the wrath of angels? Something I ask every day. Diana sighed and dropped her temple.
Well, they've been expelled from the castle for now.
Cool,
For
thanks.
how long? Who knows. However, we need to figure out why they are trying to take your memories away.
Because angels are dicks. We covered this in the other game. Looking up at last at Diana, I could tell that this was a serious situation. Sario looked at the floor, exhausted from casting the spell to expel them himself. Diana growled beneath her teeth as she looked at the wall.
Another problem. Great. Can this war be any more irritating?
Agreed. Brr. I felt myself curl up into myself a bit at Diana's irritation. I was probably a problem that she was going to help solve, and now there was a second problem on top of that. James hugged me gently against his chest, comfortingly, feeling me shirk back away from Diana.
Is that all?
Sweetie, that's kind of a lot. How about we not press buttons? How about we don't pull a Karen, James? I'm just saying. From the tone of James's voice, he wanted Diana to leave immediately. Diana looked over and stared at James, a flash of slight fear in her eyes, before her face hardened to a cold glare.
No. Whatever you are doing to try and make me fear you needs to stop.
Agreed.
I don't know what you are talking about.
Dude, you're kinda being rude.
Say what you will, but I can recognize fear enthrallment anywhere. Thank your father for that.
Thanks, father-in-law. I looked at James, seeing him glare hard at Diana, while Diana simply glared back. Now, you're both pretty. When my eyes trailed to Serio, I could see a form of jealousy burn in his gaze at my fiancé. What was happening? Oh, lordy, they're having an alpha contest. This is only gonna end when they fuck each other, isn't it? James?
Yes, love?
How about you calm down? We're in her home. Indeed. Diana turned on her heel towards Seto, now furious for some reason. Serio, seeing his mistress turn, quickly turned as well and opened the door for her.
Sleep. We have work to do tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Diana left with Seto right behind her, closing the door. James's embrace finally relaxed around me and pulled me close. What was that about? A very valid question.
I don't know.
Lie. Okay, truly? I mean, come on, dude. Really? James nodded as I turned in his arms to fully observe him. James's face seemed genuine. Still, something was off, and I knew it. It had happened when James arrived, and apparently only occurred when Diana was around. It was some sort of power struggle between Diana and James, and he was winning, at least from what I could tell. Interesting. I shook my head. If James didn't know what was happening, then maybe it was just my imagination. James, however, stared at me with pure concern written all over his expression.
But was Diana right? Are angels after you?
I mean, well... maybe. I don't know. I just had a dream that was full of light and feathers and A look of fear ran across James's face for a moment, before he shook his head and returned to his calculated, but worried expression. Was Diana correct? Yeah, I'm assuming she is. Was it an angel attack and not just some random dream? I 100% believe it's an angel attack, because, yeah, they're not good beings in this verse. My memories recalled when I was captured. The voices that appeared in my room before the imps came sounded so similar to the ones in my dream. Had they been angels as well? This was crazy. What was going on? First I'm cursed, then I'm hunted? Yeah, I'm having a full day. This was unbelievable in every sense of the word. Nothing made sense, and this entire situation was confusing. What would angels want with me? James shook his head and kissed my forehead.
Well, they're gone now. Let's get
some Are they, sleep. Though? Are they? And last time I went to sleep, they kind of got in. I nodded, wrapping arms around James and lying back with him. Can I get a cappuccino? Maybe an espresso triple shot? He slowly began to pet my hair, most likely wanting me to sleep first before he did. Slowly, I closed my eyes and let the darkness of sleep take over me once again. This time, there were no rocky dreams. I simply floated in the darkness until I naturally woke up, still in James's arms. I looked up at James's sleeping face, so peaceful and almost happy. His arms around my form made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, causing me to cuddle closer to his body. Unconsciously, James pulled me closer to him, wrapping his arms tighter around me. I could tell he was awake, however. His breathing wasn't slow, like it usually was when he slept. James? No response. He was pretending, which made me giggle a little bit. Little things like this took my mind off of the world and made me forget my troubles, whatever they were. I guess that was the blessing of being in love. I smiled and kissed James's cheek, making his smile grow a bit more. I knew it. I know you're awake.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I laughed and playfully smacked his upper arm, making him laugh as well and open his eyes to look at me with loving but tired gaze. I became once again lost in his eyes as he smiled at me.
Good morning.
Morning.
Did you sleep better?
Yeah, somewhat. I nodded, knowing he would be happy to hear it, but was more than happy to say it before snuggling into his arms, nuzzling his chest. What about you? Did you sleep well? James nodded and ran his hand through his hair, petting me lovingly.
I did. All I did was dream of you.
Aww. A soft blush formed on my cheeks before I looked up at him, seeing him smile down at me.
It's the truth. Would you like to hear?
Ew, naughty, yes. I felt myself nod before I even tried to think about the question. James just smirked a bit before wrapping his arms fully around me and leaning in to whisper in my ear.
I dreamt that we were on a private island, basking in the sand beneath the sun. The wind was perfect, and you looked absolutely stunning in your swimsuit.
Oh, I'm in a swimsuit. Boo. Are you in a swimsuit? I began to imagine it myself, causing the blush on my face to intensify. As James tightened his hug around me, my body began to heat up on its own from the warmth of his body gave me.
Then you pulled me into a kiss, one that I couldn't help but melt into. You kept teasing me until I pinned you down against the sand, and I made you beg for me to kiss you.
Go on. James peppered kisses along my neck, making my body shiver at both the image of his dream and the feeling of his lips upon my skin. I let a silent but shaky sigh as James nuzzled my head, opening his mouth to say more. Alas, our moment was broken by a loud knock on the door. God damn it, go away!
Oi! Quit fucking in there. We got food for... Go! Little shit!
Sam, thank you for breaking the mood.
Oh, I don't want to imagine that, dude.
Why not? It's pretty hot.
We do have food, though. May we come in?
Yes, please. James is pouting. James and I allowed a simultaneous sigh. So much for enjoying the moment. This was the misfortune of not being alone. I knew what we would eventually have our alone time together, but for now, a blush of embarrassment ran across my cheeks in response to Sam's allegation. James smiled and kissed my forehead before letting his head up and sitting up.
Come on in. We just got up.
Murph. Did we? Did we really? I sat up as well, right as the door opened up to the hallway, revealing James's brothers and their wives with plates of food. Eric and Irene each carried 2 plates and handed extras to me and James.
Thank you, Eric.
I love her outfit, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Irene.
My pleasure.
Aw, so cute. On the plate was food I recognized: bread, cheese, fruit, and some sort of jerky. I assumed it was safe and something I could stomach. James placed his plate on his lap before looking to the group.
So, training starts today.
Woo! Training day.
Finally! I get to kick some ass.
We got your ass kicked. Either way.
You kick ass anyway, you dork.
Carrie, don't help. I liked my answer better. Sam blushed and rubbed his neck before stuffing his face with food. Not wanting to say any more, Matthew laughed and nodded.
We know what you mean, dude. We can finally kick that old man's ass.
Wow, you guys are surprisingly cavalier about this. He is your father.
Not to be the skeptical brother here, but is it possible to become stronger than him in just a week? It's been a while since we've had any encounter involving combat after all.
Aw, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
We'll kill him.
Wow, okay, Damien. That seems a little harsh, but yeah, we kinda do have to kill him. Everyone looked to Damien, seeing his stern and cold expression. I frowned, knowing why Damien was so angered at the Demon Lord. As the bastard son, Damien had been left for dead and only survived thanks to his brothers. Damien had more reason than most to hold a grudge against the Demon Lord. James, however, cleared his throat and looked to Eric.
We won't be fighting him alone.
Exactly.
This rebellion will help us and allow us to focus our energy on defeating him.
I think it's the other way around. We're helping them.
I've been waiting years to kick his arrogant brute face in.
Yeah, shame you won't be there, though.
I think we all have a grudge against him, Sam.
Agreed.
We got this.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
I would not be so sure.
Yay, everybody just come into my room, why don't we? Everyone turned to see Sato in the doorway alone, leaning against the archway with his arms crossed.
Oh, Sarah, where is...
Yeah, where is your lady?
My mistress had a rough night.
Uh-huh.
She's still recovering from it.
Uh-huh, I bet. I grimaced, knowing that the reason she had a rough night was because of me. And you know my guy. Sato, however, seemed to be re-energized and somewhat bright-eyed. His gaze landed on James and glared hard, causing my fiancé to straighten up a bit.
None of you know what has happened these past 10 years. None of you know of the Demon Lord's true strength.
Exactly. We should totally be taking notes.
And would you care to enlighten us?
Sweetie, tone. At last, Sario pushed off of the doorway and walked further into the room, closing the door behind him. He looked to each brother, examining each man before settling his gaze on James again.
The Demon Lord is a madman.
Uh-huh. Agreed.
You don't need to tell us that.
No. He was mad before, but he lost his mind completely when my mistress formed the rebellion against him.
Aww.
He's killed thousands by his own hand alone out of pure rage.
Wow. This season of She-Ra is pretty dark. Sero's grip on his spear tightened as something resurfaced in his thoughts, reflected in his glare.
Too many times has my lady faced off against him and almost lost her life in exchange.
Serio's cold stare rehardened itself on his face as he shook away the thought and looked to Damien, who had a stony expression to match.
What makes you think that you, a band of humanized demons, have any chance of destroying him on your own?
They're attached to the main character? The brothers seemed to glare in unison at Serio, as did the wives. I, however, saw his point. Yeah, 'cause I'm sane. The boys had been in the human world for over 2 years. They had missed so much here and had grown accustomed to human life. I had only been here a day and knew that this world was much more ruthless than the human world. Sam stood and marched towards Serio, standing almost nose to nose with the guard and giving him a terrifying glare.
What makes you think we can't, prick?
He's been fighting a war every day for 10 years. You guys have kind of been on cruise control the last 2?
I have seen with my own eyes what the Demon Lord can do in battle.
Exactly.
We had to live with that sack of shit for almost 100 years as his sons.
Really?
No more than you ever will.
This raises so many questions. How old are you again, sweetie?
Sam, that's enough.
Down, boy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Don't make me get the muzzle. I'm sure Carrie would help. Sam and Serio continued to glare daggers into each other's souls, anger burning in their eyes without any sign of retreat.
We had to live with the fact that our dad burnt down villages, enslaved people, and stole hundreds of lives day after day, ending his night fucking a woman who was chained to a goddamn bed.
Ew.
The fuck makes you think that we don't know anything about him?
Okay, good point. Damien seemed to flinch at Sam's words, but his angered face remained as Serio and Sam had their stare down. Serio, however, remained unfazed.
Like I said, he has completely lost his mind. If he was a monster before, he is Satan himself now. He does more than slaughter and burn villages. He takes prisoners and paints the ground with their blood while howling into the sky.
Okay, yeah. James's face over here is like, what the fuck? And I agree, sweetie, I'm right there with you.
He leads legions of imp demons who do nothing but make sure their victims suffer in agony before making them beg for death. He now takes pleasure not in a bed, but in the screams of millions.
Yeah, we need to put down your dad, guys. In an act of defiance, Serio straightened his back and almost towered over Sam, gritting his teeth.
If anything, the reason he's as mad as he is now is because you all decided to run. So the blame for this war rests on all your shoulders.
No. No. This is on Daddy Dearest, okay? Regardless of if the boys stayed or not, it's irrelevant. Their staying just might have made things worse as he would eventually look at them as new rivals. Instantly, Sam's fist met Serio's jaw and forced him back towards the door. Serio slammed into the door and gripped his hand over his mouth, rubbing it in pain.
Sam!
Sucker punch, get out.
Sam!
Agreed, Carrie, go kick his ass.
Fuck you! Do not blame this fucking war on us!
Serio wiped his lips of fresh blood and began dripping from his mouth, and glared as if the punch wasn't as painful as it looked.
Arrogant mutt! The call of the human world was too tempting for you to ignore. You have forgotten about duty and responsibility.
I mean, have they?
We left because we were tired of the lives we had.
You left the world and everyone in it to become the victim of a madman and a world war. None of you understand what we have even sacrificed to stay alive.
Agreed. I'm actually in Serio's camp right now, but I think blaming everything on the boys that happened to this war is a bit much.
No, we don't. And we never will.
James finally stood from the bed and placed a hand on Sam's shoulder, forcing him to step back. As Sam rejoined Carrie, who wrapped her arms around him in comfort, James looked to Zero.
But you cannot blame us for wanting to be free.
Exactly. That is the one step too far. Zero, on the other hand, began to laugh. It was a painful laugh, but one full of anger.
You have no right to defend yourself, eldest son. Because of you specifically, my mistress's entire world was destroyed.
Go on, elaborate. What happened? I mean, out of character, I know what happened because we've played other paths and we've seen the tragedy that is Diana's life. But in this verse, my character's like, what are you talking about? Dude, why are you mad? Explain it to me. Use your words. I stared wide-eyed at Zero. This was about their betrothal. But James did what was best for him. He and I didn't care about the consequences of our love. But Sarah's painful words made me shake. Sarah's eyes began to burn once again in jealousy at James and rage at his words.
Because of you, the only people she had in this world, her family was brutally murdered in the most sadistic of ways. The imps painted the walls of the castle nursery in the king and queen's blood, while her unborn baby sister was ripped from the queen's womb and nailed to the wall like a hunting trophy.
Yeah! So, that happened. If anything, the fact that Diana has been as, welcoming to me as she has been, because I'm assuming all this happened, when she was in the human world trying to get you boys away from me. Yeah. It's a wonder she's being as nice as she's been. I felt sick to my stomach just imagining it, despite not wanting to in the first place. The imagery was too much, but Zero continued without mercy.
Asair had to watch her kingdom burn before her eyes and listen to the screams of her people when she returned from the human world after hunting you all down. It was only after the siege when she saw the fate of her own family.
Poor Dee. Now do you understand why you've kind of been pulling a dick, James? Let's be nicer to our host. Zero finally straightened up. At the sight, he looked powerful and strong, but his eyes burned with anger and rage as he glared at James. For the first time in my life, I saw fear run through James's eyes.
Yet you all claim innocence. You all know nothing of innocence!
Dude, the second you scream, you've lost the argument. Calm down.
Enough, Zero!
Uh-oh. Hi, we were just talking about you. Everyone shot their heads toward Diana's voice, to see her standing in the corner of the room, shrouded by shadow. However, I could faintly see tears running down Diana's cheeks, despite the terrifying anger on her face towards Zero. Yeah, ... indeed, my dude. ... indeed.
You will not speak of the past again, Zero. Understood?
Yes, my lady.
He was trying to help. Diana finally stepped away from the corner and stood in front of Zero and across from James, uncaring, towards the rogue tears running down her face.
What's done is done. We can't ever change the past, no matter how desperately we try. What matters now is preparing for the Demon Lord and the final battle.
I mean, are you sure about that? I have the power of save state. James nodded. It was a sour note to end on, but Diana's words were the truth. We could linger on the pointing fingers and having doubts now. Diana ran a hand through her hair and looked around the room, pressing her lips into a fine line.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Agreed. Everyone nodded in agreement to Diana's statement. Well, we weren't battle-ready. We still needed, at least, to know how to defend ourselves. Diana, however, looked to me.
You, most of all.
Yeah, I am kind of a linchpin, aren't I? Huh? Me? I was suddenly confused. How come I was the odd one out that had to be ready for the most? The last thing I remembered about me training was that Diana was against the idea altogether. Diana sighed and rubbed her temple.
Apparently, there are guidelines to breaking this curse.
Cool.
Not only do we have to kill the Demon Lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
Agreed. So let's go. That makes total sense. Shush. Where did you learn this? Valid question.
Shadow. He spent the night trying to find alternative ways to break your curse.
Cool.
Unfortunately, we didn't find anything of the sort. But we found the guidelines to breaking it.
Cool. Remind me to send him a fruit basket when this is done. Well, it still makes no sense. Girl, shush.
Even while it doesn't, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to kill him and then still have you stuck here because of an error.
Exactly. I could only sigh and take it in. So I had to be there when the Demon Lord fell. Great. Diana waved her hand dismissively through the air, breaking my potential thoughts.
Anyway, we can't have you dying on the way there, and we can't monitor you when we're in battle. You should at least know how to defend yourself. That's why we've come up with a solution.
Cool.
Huh? What solution?
A good one, shush.
Simple. The other rebel leaders and Sarah have agreed that if you'd like a trainer to enhance your abilities, you can train with one of them.
Cool. I stared, seeing Sarah step forward with a nod.
Each of the leaders is proficient in a different area of magic and battle strategy.
Yay!
Enough for self-defense. I can't speak for the others, but I can assure you that with Sarah's skill and training methods, you will be well prepared by the time the siege arrives.
Interesting. Sarah nodded and bowed to me slightly. Well, I was flattered at the idea. Did I really need a trainer? Yes. I knew Taekwondo. Uh-huh. Sure. And I at least knew how to defend myself, demon or not. Then again, we were in the demon world, where magic was the norm. Exactly. Take what is being offered and say thank you. I like Tricerio, I don't need a trainer. What did the others teach me? Diana ran her hand through her hair, looking to the side as she listed off each leader and their skills.
Sergeant is a brute demon, bred from a nomadic tribe. He most likely teach you the ways of the brute demon, using your fists and speed to keep you alive. Shadow is, by definition, a shadow demon, so he'd probably teach you about dark magic, light manipulation, and assassination.
Cool.
Rabbit is a wild magic-based animal demon, using her animal-focused energy as her weapon. She'd probably teach you how to do the same.
Interesting.
Fae? I am honestly not sure. I know they can change their size and use elemental magic as well, but to be honest, I do not know what they would teach you.
Cool. I choose Faye, I choose Sergeant. What about you? I don't need a trainer, I choose Shadow, I choose Sarah, I choose Rabbit. You know what? What about you, Dee? I mean, it's not like you're super busy as the leader of this rebellion. Diana stared at me as if I had 3 heads. Nope, still just the one. No one else seemed to oppose to the idea, but I was genuinely curious. Diana pressed her lips together and looked away from me.
My hands are too full.
Oh, but I'm the main character.
That's a lie.
Thank you, S.
Seto?
Yes, Sato.
My lady is proficient with blades and enthrallments.
Ew.
I've seen her cause armies to fall to their knees and bark on her command.
Really? Is there footage of this battle? I kind of want to see it. Diana glared hard at Sarah, but I was pretty convinced that what Sarah said was true. Diana was pretty powerful, and also very pretty. Still, Diana is my trainer? What would come of it? I become more badass? We'd be starring buddy cop comedies together? I choose Fate. You know what? I choose you, Diana. I want to be trained by the queen.
But I...
You're stuck with me. Hugs! New best friend! Can I braid your hair?
I will make sure that everything is settled for you, my lady. Please consider training her as you know her best.
Exactly. Who would know me better than my rival? Let's become frenemies now.
Fine.
Fine indeed. And on that note, I need to bring the video to a close. Until next time, kiddo.